Of the JDBC is basically how we can connect your Java application to a database. So as of now we know that, right, to store the data we know we have done the work with the files, correct? So any type of file, either it is a text based or Word or it is a Excel or CSV files, right? So you can, but to maintain the data into an these files is not very effective. That's why we moved into an RDBMS and database concept, where we have that particular proper relations and data, and so that any point of time you can add, update, read, delete, you can do it. You can maintain the transactions, you can maintain the state, integrity, isolation, so many other things also. So for that purpose, basically we are maintaining the data into a database servers. So database works basically also into client server concept. So we have seen into an Postgres we are using a PG admin. PG admin is nothing but the client software, and your server is you have installed on Postgres server, you have installed on your machine, which is basically running on the localhost 5432 or the port. Then you create, there is a database. Inside the database you have created the schema and the tables like that. So in the same way, when we are connecting from Java application to a database servers, so Java application works and behaves like a particularly a client for the database. So we will send that commands to a database to add, update, read, delete, whatever, and the data will be getting updated, saved or inserted on into a database servers. So that is the whole and sole idea here, correct? So for that, basically we need to have some APIs so that we can connect from Java to database, right? So these APIs, and you can say the basically classes or the jars, basically it is based on the server to server. So MySQL has developed their own APIs and released their own jar through which we can use that from Java to MySQL. Oracle has their own APIs, own standard implementation. They have provided their own jar which we can use from connecting from Java to Oracle. Like this SQL server, so they have their own implementation. So this is the way we can just use that. Okay. So J2E a multi-tier distributed applications. So as of now, if you will use that web-based application into Java to enterprise editions like that, right? We will just go into it when we are talking about web development and like this. So we can connect from the browser to a J2E server, from the J2E server to like this. Any other application client can also connect to J2E server, and then with the help of this we can connect to a particularly a database server. Okay. Now JDBC API. So if you are talking about J2E or if you are talking about Java, both are okay. You can also create your own Java application, standalone application, and then you can connect to a database server. So it is not like you need every time you need a J2E, correct? So standalone. So as of now you are working into a standalone application. So JDBC API. So JDBC an interface which allows Java code to execute SQL statement inside the relational databases. Okay. So Java, right? So basically it is providing that particularly the interface which allows Java code to execute SQL statement inside the relational databases. So you can send some command, what type of statement you want to execute it is insert or update or delete or select or whatever it is. So from this Java program, we, with the help of JDBC connectivity, right, connectivity data processing utilities, right, we will use that driver for Oracle jars, or maybe driver for MySQL, or driver for basically for a ODBC. So we will use that JDBC ODBC bridge and then ODBC driver and connect to any particular system here. So these APIs, these drivers are nothing but basically these APIs which is used to connect to a particular server. So if we are using a Oracle driver, we are basically connecting to a Oracle server. If you are using a MySQL driver, we will connect to a MySQL server. If you are using a Postgres driver, we will connect to a Postgres driver. So this is the way we can use the different drivers, and these drivers are basically available in the jars. So these jars are provided from the different vendors. So Oracle is providing their own jar which has the implementation for the Oracle driver. Postgres provides its own jar which has the implementation for Postgres driver. So JDBC ODBC bridge. So ODBC bridge, Open Database Connectivity, is a Microsoft standard from the mid-90s. It is API that allows C++ program to execute SQL inside the database. ODBC support by the many products. JDBC ODBC bridge. So JDBC ODBC bridge allows Java code to use the C++ interface of ODBC. It means the JDBC can access many different database products. Okay, so the layer of translation is Java to C and then SQL can slow down the execution. Okay, so that is basically a so JDBC ODBC bridge basically come with this J2EC called as sun.jdbc.odbc.jdbc ODBC driver. Okay, so this is basically an ODBC driver for a Microsoft Access. Right. So JDBC pseudocode is like all JDBC programs do the following: load the JDBC driver, specify the name and the location of the database is being used. So we need to have that, as I told you, on which particular machine and which particular port we are using it. So I told you, right, MongoDB we have seen it is running on 27,017 on the localhost. If you will see Postgres is running on the localhost 5432 port. So this port is available where we can connect it. So connect the database with the connection object. So we will, with the help of these details, we will create a connection object. From the connection object, we will create a statement. From the statement, we will execute the query. From the executing query, we will get the result in the form of result as set object, and then basically we will get the result and process it. After that, we will closing the result set statement and the connection string. So this is the basically a basic steps. So you need to load the driver with the help of class.forName. Then you need to basically create the connection, right, using this particular string, correct, where you can specify the database server IP and the port and the particular database name, correct. Then from the connection string you will create the statement and then you can just use it. So set up a database server, you need to install the database server, Oracle, MySQL or Postgres like this. Get the JDBC driver in your class path. So whatever, as I told you, these drivers are available in the form of jars. These jars you need to download and put it into your, particularly in your class path. So that you, whenever you are saying class.forName and you are providing the driver string, it has to be getting loaded. So you will not get any class not found exception like this. So how the code looks like: import this java.sql.star. You can specify the URL string JDBC point base. This is a point base, that's why in case of Postgres it will be a com.postgres, something like that. And you can specify a particularly, this is a local host, right, and you need to specify a port. So this URL string may differ from Postgres, also may differ for Oracle also, like this. So you need to be very much sure about it. This driver string will also be different for different servers and for different databases. Okay, so then you need to create a connection. So this driver string, this is a driver string, you need to get it, right. So this is a basically for Postgres you will have a different package and different driver name. For URL will also be getting different. So once you will get that driver string in the URL, you can con driver manager.get connection URL, user ID and password. In case of what is the user ID, Postgres, password is whatever password you have given when you are connecting to a database. Then you will say stmt con.create statement. So this is a statement object, you will get it. Then you will say statement.execute update. Maybe you can say statement.execute query. So statement has a many such methods are there. Insert into copy, and you can say this insert statement pass into as a string. right? If you are select query, you can this also you can use that select query. So you can say execute query and get the result. You can say query as a string, select star from table name, like this, correct? So this is the way you can just see, and you can, so JDBC example. So this code will looks like that: public static void main class dot for name. This is a basically, as I told you, I will give the string for that for Postgres. The URL will also be little different for a Postgres. DB user for Postgres, password whatever you can give it. So connection con is equal to driver manager dot got connection URL DB user and DB password, correct? Then you will say statement stmt is equal to create statement. Let's say select start from tribes, select start from trade, execute it, it will give the result set. So then you need to process the result set just like an iterator. So it is a basically rs dot next, it will run till the time this rx has a next row. So rs dot get string means the column name, right? So basically dot get string dot column name, so whatever, let's say company name, right, trade type, all these things like that you can say. And also you, otherwise you can say rs dot get string 0, get string 1, get string 2, like this. That is also the way you can get it, okay? So rs is nothing but the result set object, okay? So every result set object represents the one row. So if this while loop iterates first time, it will process first row. If it will go into row second, then it will process the second row. Then it will process third time, it will process the third row. So in each row you will have some certain column values, first column, second column, third column, fourth column, like this. So this is the way you can process and you can see. So driver manager creates a connection, creates an statement, connection dot create statement. Statement will execute query and give the result set, okay? And you will get the data. So statement will execute a query, will get the data like this, and this is a nothing but your server, okay? Are you guys with me so far? Huh?
Yes, sir, but we have to go for the meeting.
ठीक है. So you can just go for the meeting, come back, and then we will again start it from that how we can implement here like this.